7 James Bond actors have shaped 60 years of men's tailoring and masculine elegance through their bespoke suits, and each one brought their own twist to what became cinema's most copied menswear wardrobe. From Sean Connery's revolutionary Conduit Cut to Daniel Craig's tight-fitting Tom Ford O'Connor looks, watching the 7 actors' menswear evolution tells us exactly how British style took over the world. When Sean Connery first walked onto the Dr. No set in 1962, he was not the smooth secret agent we know today. Director Terence Young had a real problem. His leading man looked awkward in formal wear. Young's solution changed everything. He sent Connery to his personal tailor, Anthony Sinclair. Lois Maxwell remembered it perfectly. She recalled that Terence took Sean under his wing, took him to dinner, showed him how to walk, how to talk, even how to eat. Young made Connery wear his new suits around the clock, sleeping in them until formal clothes felt natural. This was not just about dressing up a character. Young was creating a visual language that would define masculinity for generations. The suit became Bond's armor, his signature, and honestly, his most important gadget. While Jason Bourne wore tactical gear and other action heroes grabbed whatever was handy, Bond's formal attire told you everything about him before he said a word. Bond's style foundation came from an unexpected place, Ian Fleming's own closet. Fleming used the bespoke tailor Benson, Perry, and Whitley on Cork Street, just 2 blocks from Savile Row in London's Mayfair. Since Fleming based so much of James Bond on his own life, the literary Bond probably bought his suits from the same shop. This connection between writer and character gave everything authenticity from day one. But Anthony Sinclair's interpretation became legendary. Working from 29 Conduit Street in Mayfair, Sinclair created what everyone called the Conduit Cut, though Sinclair preferred describing his style as drape and shape. This wasn't just another Savile Row approach, it was revolutionary. While neighboring houses like Huntsman & Sons favored structured hunting coats and Jeeves & Hawkes maintained military precision, Sinclair pioneered something entirely different. The Conduit Cut featured several elements that separated it from the boxy, double-breasted suits everyone wore in the early 60s. Sinclair cut the coat for easy movement, with chest drape and generous sleeves topped by signature roping at the shoulders. He dramatically suppressed the waist so when buttoned, the coat stayed close and neat to the body. The slightly flared skirt over the hips balanced this hourglass shape, taking clear inspiration from traditional English hacking jackets. His full canvas construction with floating chest piece allowed natural drape while maintaining structure. Sinclair hated heavy padding and rigid construction. Despite dressing rugged guys like Sean Connery and Richard Burton, they all wanted soft suits. Burton especially demanded softness and lightness in everything he wore. This approach worked perfectly for athletic, military-built men and created a distinctly British alternative to the structured Italian and American styles dominating the era. For Dr. No, the budget allowed 3 Anthony Sinclair bespoke lounge suits, a mid-gray Glen check, and 2 solid grays in flannel and mohair. But that midnight blue dinner suit became iconic. The technical specs were precise. These came from mid-gray sharkskin, 4-season 9-ounce Super 120s worsted wool woven in Italy by Carlo Barbera. Every detail mattered, from the natural shoulder line to the carefully calculated waist suppression. The most famous Bond outfit ever appeared in Goldfinger. Connery's mid-gray Glen plaid 3-piece suit, worn during his scene with Pussy Galore, perfectly captured everything Sinclair was trying to achieve. Sophisticated yet masculine, formal yet practical, British yet modern. Only one original Connery lounge suit survives today, a gray herringbone that got reverse engineered in 2012 to create authentic copies for the Designing 7 exhibition celebrating 50 years of Bond style. When George Lazenby auditioned for On Her Majesty's Secret Service in 1969, he knew looking right was everything. He spent his last money on a tailor-made suit from Anthony Sinclair, ironically one made for Connery but never picked up. Lazenby also bought a Rolex Submariner, completing the Bond look that helped him land the role. Lazenby's brief time introduced subtle but important changes. While keeping connections to Sinclair's work, costume designer Demi Major brought his own vision. Lazenby's suit jackets mixed the button 2 style Connery wore with a new button 3 design. The curved jacket foreparts, steep, hacking pocket angles, and striking waist suppression created what many consider the most visually striking suits in Bond history. Major's creative touches went beyond fashion trends, creating looks that could work in any decade. Roger Moore's arrival in 1973 dramatically shifted Bond's style direction. Playing the character for 7 films between 1973 and 1985, Moore brought wit, charm, and a lighter tone that extended to his wardrobe. He used his personal tailor, Cyril Castle, also on Conduit Street, but known for a more relaxed, 70s-influenced approach. Moore introduced double-breasted suits to Bond, along with ultra-wide peak lapels, snatched waists, and big, open collars. He embraced the decade's trends enthusiastically, including wide ties, gray-checked sports coats with bell-bottoms, and safari jackets that worked perfectly in exotic locations like The Man with the Golden Gun. Moore's Bond was as much about visual impact as completing missions. Multiple tailoring partnerships marked this era. Angelo Roma took over for The Spy Who Loved Me, bringing contemporary style, while Douglas Hayward handled For Your Eyes Only. Hayward, the legendary Savile Row rebel who dressed everyone from Michael Caine to Steve McQueen, represented a trendier evolution of British tailoring. The Hayward look suited Moore's charismatic and mischievous interpretation perfectly. Powder blues and tans replaced Glen checks and navy blues from Connery's era, reflecting both changing fashion and Moore's lighter approach. Timothy Dalton's brief run from 1987 to 1989 returned to a more serious, more grounded Bond. Costume designer Jody Tillen focused on darker colors and a businesslike appearance that recalled Connery's classic lines from 20 years earlier. In The Living Daylights, Dalton wore English-style suits that were basically ready-made versions of Connery's bespoke pieces. But License to Kill presented unique challenges. As the first Bond film not shot in the UK, production was based in North America, using local resources. This created a markedly American look that departed from the traditionally British aesthetic, reflecting both practical needs and the film's North American setting. Pierce Brosnan's 1995 arrival coincided with a complete wardrobe reimagining under costume designer Lindy Hemming. She made a bold choice, replacing traditional British tailors with Brioni, the prestigious Italian house. This wasn't just about style. It was about practical filmmaking. Hemming wanted a company that could tailor in the Savile Row manner, but produce numerous suits quickly for GoldenEye's tight shooting schedule. She also wanted luxury, unmistakably synonymous with expensiveness. Brioni met these requirements perfectly, offering both quality and production capability for unprecedented action sequences. Brosnan's wardrobe foundation was the Brioni Augusto suit jacket, named after the first Roman emperor. He wore this model in GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, and The World Is Not Enough. His most famous look was probably the herringbone 3-button linen suit with tan buttons from The World Is Not Enough, which became iconic of the Brosnan era. Brosnan actively developed his character's look. Hemming later explained that they wanted him to look modern, but not trendy, like someone in advertising. Pierce's demands were that the designs had to reflect the lightness of modern man, but still be svelte and smooth. This collaboration between actor, designer, and Italian craftsmanship created a new Bond-style template. Daniel Craig's 2006 casting brought another major shift. Initially, he continued with Brioni for Casino Royale under Lindy Hemming. Then the franchise embraced American designer Tom Ford for Quantum of Solace and beyond. This choice sparked controversy among Bond purists, but it reflected the character's evolution. Craig's suits became notably more fitted than his predecessors, achieved through slim cuts and narrow notch lapels. Tom Ford's O'Connor model approach was described as making suits that operate as a second layer of skin, which some argued reflected the character's psychological state. These were not just clothes, they were armor for a more vulnerable, emotionally complex Bond. The evolution was dramatic. Craig's era showed progression from big shoulders and wide trousers to narrow shoulders and extremely tight trousers, only to pull back from extreme tightness in later films. Critics called these fits too tight, poorly fitted, and shrunken. Supporters argued the fitted approach reflected modern tailoring trends and Craig's more physical interpretation. For No Time to Die, Tom Ford's role was scaled back considerably, with costume designer Sutterat Anne Larb preserving the sharp aesthetic while introducing slightly more relaxed fits. The film leaned heavily into casual and tactical clothing, suggesting possible future directions. Throughout these decades, certain partnerships stayed constant. Turnbull and Asser has supplied James Bond's shirts since 1962, creating what became known as the James Bond cuff, a turn-back cuff that angles away from the wrist, revealing 2 buttons underneath. These shirts, made from 34 individual cotton pieces with 13 mother-of-pearl buttons, pass through 16 different craftspeople and 36 separate processes, taking up to 8 weeks to complete. Every Bond actor, except Timothy Dalton, wore Turnbull and Asser shirts, maintaining this connection to traditional British craftsmanship. The debate between British and Italian tailoring reflects broader questions about Bond's identity. Some argue Bond should stay exclusively British, representing traditional Savile Row values alongside houses like Anderson and Shepard. Others believe Brioni and Tom Ford brought necessary modernization while maintaining quality standards. As one observer noted, Tom Ford's tailoring is a fusion of English and Italian styles, suggesting evolution rather than abandoning tradition. The controversies around Craig's fitted suits highlight changing definitions of masculinity and style. What some see as too tight, others view as contemporary and relevant. The tight suit debate reveals how Bond's wardrobe serves as a cultural measuring stick, reflecting society's evolving ideas about how men should present themselves. Looking ahead, Bond 26 promises another transformation. With Denis Villeneuve directing and producers seeking an unknown actor in his late 20s or early 30s, the franchise appears ready for reinvention. Sources suggest they want someone matching Fleming's original description, over 6 feet tall and a blunt instrument. This return to the character's literary roots might influence tailoring choices too. Speculation around potential actors such as Tom Holland, Jacob Elordi, and Harris Dickinson suggests a younger Bond who might embrace different style approaches. With Amazon MGM Studios now controlling the franchise and longtime producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson stepping away, significant changes seem inevitable. Bond's suit legacy extends far beyond cinema. Each era's approach influenced menswear trends globally. Connery's Conduit Cut inspired a generation of tailors. Moore's flared approach captured the 70s perfectly. Brosnan's Brioni suits made Italian tailoring aspirational for millions of men. Craig's fitted Tom Ford looks dominated menswear magazines for over a decade. Anthony Sinclair recently created a 60-piece collection celebrating 6 decades of Bond style, proving these designs' enduring appeal. Current head cutter David Mason notes that modern tastes favor more shape than drape, but comfort and movement remain key elements, maintaining Sinclair's original philosophy. The James Bond suit represents more than fashion. It embodies an ideal of masculine sophistication that has evolved while maintaining core principles. Whether cut by Anthony Sinclair on Conduit Street or Tom Ford in his New York studio, these suits share common DNA. They must convey authority, elegance, and British refinement while allowing their wearer to save the world. After 60 years, 7 actors, and countless imitators, the Bond suit remains cinema's most influential menswear statement. Each version reflects its era while maintaining timeless appeal. As Denis Villeneuve prepares to helm the franchise's future, he faces the challenge of honoring this tailoring legacy while creating something new for contemporary audiences. The evolution continues, but one thing stays certain. James Bond, without his perfectly tailored suit, would just be another action hero. The suit doesn't just complete the man, it creates the legend.